Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it and give this video a like.
Podcast below in the description. I need you to check that out right now. Go subscribe to that for me.
John, I think we thought that Robert Saleh would go to the Jets and he'd be like Noah. He'd build his ark and he'd have like 240. Like he'd be like, just bring it on. Like, oh, we need 2 Richard Shermans and we need 2 K'Wan Williamses and we need give me an E-Man Mosley and a Dante Johnson. And he'd just be like, give me a Kerry Hyder. He's done none of it. So when you say Richard Sherman, like I thought Richard would have been signed on the first day to the New York Jets. Didn't happen, hasn't happened. So shout out Joe Douglas, who's turns out the GM of the Jets.
Well, I think one thing we forget a little bit, watching Kyle Shanahan a lot. We talk a lot about Pete Carroll. We just talk a lot about the heavy hitting coaches. Robert Saleh is not the boss in New York, and GM's wet dream is to hire a guy they really like. Like, I think Joe Douglas really likes Robert Saleh, and then dictate the players that he gets to coach, right? Because you know what? And I'm biased, 100% biased. I don't want because my head coach, a new head coach, is usually his personnel beliefs, unless it's like Jimmy Johnson when he got the Cowboy job, or a Saban that has these huge, big visions. Most of these younger assistant coaches that become a head coach, they're going to determine who they like based on what their assistants are telling them. And Joe Douglas is like, I've been in personnel for a decade, multiple decades. I helped build and was a major part of building a Super Bowl champion. I learned from Ozzie Newsome. Robert, my best attribute is to tell you, no, I don't want K'Wan Williams. We can find K'Wan Williams. We don't need Richard Sherman. Now, there is a balance of you want people to sing the gospel, but there's a balance of like, I'm not paying huge money to sing the gospel. Let's just fucking get good players, coach them up like you guys did in San Francisco.
See, we're assuming something in this conversation, which is that Robert Saleh would have done it if he had the power.
Yeah,
because
I don't know that.
I think when the Niners season was winding down and the defense was playing really well, and you thought, well, enjoy Jason Veret and K'Wan Williams and, Richard. Obviously, Richard wasn't playing down the stretch, but they're just going to be too expensive for the Niners to keep. Robert Saleh wasn't the only one. The Jets and Joe Douglas weren't the only ones who didn't. As of this recording, we don't know what K'Wan Williams signed for. I have not seen that. I saw a lot of people saying, he got recruited back to the team, and then it's the culture. And okay, that sounds nice, but I mean, John, he signed after the week was over. Like the week of everybody signing was done. It's not like he signed with the Niners.
We're a week and a half out.
Yeah, I'm glad he's
back.
My
dates mixed up.
I don't know how much he cost. Jason Verrett was an early signing. Maybe there's a little more competition there. Kowalski Target is back. Didn't cost a lot of money. Good. I mean, this is fine. But the Niners are kind of running it back here on a team that did some things really well, but like they got to be better than they were last year in some areas. We talk about quarterback. Both,
but I think if we rewind, I think they feel defensively they're going to be solid again. The question's going to come down. Their offense last year was a joke, many games, right? Because they didn't have a quarterback. I think that these guys, like K'Wan Williams, is a good player. Kowalski Tart is a fine role player. Like, these guys are fine to put on the field. They're not like, we've seen really bad defenses before with the Niners that one year. Jim O'Neill, who ironically then worked for the Raiders, who they also just fired, who in a crazy way ends up at Northwestern. I mean, who's been this really good program these last couple of years, determined into this defensive juggernaut. Now he's the defensive coordinator. I text someone with the Raiders. They're like, we were floored when we saw they hired Jim O'Neill to be the DC.
Stanford in the points week 1 against Northwestern.
Where's the game?
Jerry World.
Damn, yeah. I mean, I do not like Jim O'Neill as my defensive coordinator. But I just think it gets to, like, the Niners didn't pay for a lot of these guys. Besides, like, they paid for 2 guys, in my opinion, that were worth the money. Like, they value Juszczyk. I value Juszczyk as a friend of the show. I'm glad he stayed. Trent Williams, like I was telling you before, like, you got to watch this little YouTube clip that he produced, or it looked pretty cool, that he was going to the Chiefs. If it would have got announced on Wednesday morning when we did our impromptu, the story breaks like 5 a.m. or whatever, Trent Williams was a Chief, that would have been a double kick in the dick. I don't not even just even to us and the Niners that we talk about it would have been to the league. Like, the Kansas City Chiefs just landed the best free agent in the class, and he's a left tackle. That would have been pretty nuts. And Trent even admits, like, I thought it was going there. I know the Chiefs thought they kind of had him, right? I mean, they put their best foot forward. They offering him a shitload of money. What else do they have to offer? I don't know. A lock to basically be in the AFC Championship game. Like, the Niners can't offer that. The Chiefs can. Like, are we a lock to be in the Super Bowl? Well, we're about the closest thing in the league right now. We're definitely a lock to be in the playoffs and win the division. The Niners cannot offer that. Like, they offered him more. If the money was close, Trent basically, and I think it was. I don't know if the Chiefs were up to 55, but they weren't like 38, right? Yeah. I think it's fair to say the number was 50, and they can offer winning, which the Niners can offer the hope of getting back to winning. But I do think it's a good sign that we'll get into Trent Brown, some things Raiders players say after. Now, granted, some of the Raiders players that talk some shit after are character guys, but the Niners consistently, when they want a guy to stay, and if the guy, like, his options are all equal, he comes back. That's not nothing. Now, K1's a 30-year-old slot corner, who bounced around the league as an undrafted free agent. So,
yeah, I mean once upon a time, Carlos Rogers was kind of that.
Yeah, he just had a couple-year stretch with the Niners where it was good.
But he's not. How much
but
is again? I don't think.
Here's what I'll say: Carlos Rogers. Carlos Rogers was once a first-round pick.
I know. But I don't think K1 Williams is going to end up caught. When we see the money, I don't think we're going to. So, the Trent Williams example is interesting because it is an example of what can happen when your coach loves a player and your coach is also your GM, right? Trent Williams texts Kyle Shanahan as he's going in to eat dinner at James Harden's new restaurant in Houston, which, how does that work? And can he call it Harden's, or do they have to change the name?
Part of it was when he requested a trade. I think his restaurant was like about to, it was like a month away or 2 months away. That's where it was kind of getting really weird.
It's weird for business. They had to change it Harden's, and it's like, oh no, this is Rusty Harden's place. But that's just. I hope you hope Trent's healthy, and obviously it's Trent Williams. It's not Kyle going to the mat for some other guy. This is Kyle saying, I love this guy, and Trent knows he can call the coach and be like, hey, Kyle, Chiefs are about to pay me. Just you want to pay me a little more, right? Because of the relationship they have. But one area where I like Tart and Johnson and Mosley and Veret and Williams and DJ Jones, obviously Kerry Hyder went to Seattle, all these guys coming back. One of the big stories when the season starts will be one thing that we don't spend a lot of time talking about before the season, because we're going to spend all this time talking about quarterback one way or the other, is DeMeco Ryans is a first-time defensive coordinator. And I do think it's good for DeMeco Ryans, who was there, obviously, as the Niners were really good and built this defense up with Robert Saleh. I think it's good that he's got a lot of the same pieces that have worked for the Niners in the last couple of years. Obviously, they need Nick Bosa. Part of this is, Javon Kinlaw. But I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. If I'm looking for a positive in this, is one of them, I think, is that DeMeco Ryans, he's not learning new play. Here are the guys that I know how we used them. I know what worked for them. I think it's got to help a first-time DC.
Well, I also think, and this is where I give Kyle credit, I think offensive coaches who are the play callers are going to tend to lean on just go hire or go sign a slot wide receiver. Just get something that's going to help them out. Kyle does place a premium on just signing defensive guys. He values that. He values the big picture of the team, which is kind of unique for a younger coach. One thing I've been very, very impressed just watching his team building aspect is he'll lean defense, he'll lean lines. And the Trent thing is you can only run out a backup left tackle or scheme that thing for so many games. If you would have let him walk, you're fucked, right? Especially if you're in the quarterback business, or you're not gonna be able to draft a guy. They would just be in that would be a hole. That would be a problem.
Yeah.
And I think you could say, did they overpay, or was it important to Kyle? Was his one splurge use check? I can live with that, right? He's a Pro Bowler. He's a good player. If that's going to be your splurge, that ultimately costs you $4 or $5 million, whatever. The Trent thing is I don't view it as Kyle, offensive guy, has to have him. I just think he's viewing my team, left tackle. How are we going to get a left tackle? I fucking got this quarterback issue, which is a major issue in the franchise.
Also,
we need that 12th pick to get a guy potentially.
Yes.
Right? Because they may get to a point where, let's say they trade for Minshew and just roll it back with Jimmy, which I think would be a major disappointment to the fans and myself. And they just drafted a lineman, right? Who knows? I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
No, it's not out of the realm. But you would be you would be in that position in part because you talking about a tackle, drafting a tackle?
Yeah,
or?
I mean, just get a guy that can kind of do both, and maybe you don't pick up McGlinchey's offer, and Slater plays guard for a year, and then he bumps out.
That would be
tackle.
on you for having not nailed the Colton Miller all of a sudden. But I wonder if Kyle. My guess is no, but I do think Twitter reaction would have been different if it was, "Hey Kyle, this is Trent Williams. The Jags I'm about to go sign with the Jags." Doesn't have the same effect as I'm about to go sign with the Chiefs. Remember the team you almost beat in the Super Bowl 2 years ago? The team you're gonna have to beat probably again.
And then they got back, and then they got back. Going to be the heavy favorites to go again.
Exactly. Yeah. No.
I as crazy as that would have been for us, who just kind of talks 49er stuff. I think that would have been a major, in the league, holy shit. I think the league should be very happy if you're the Steelers, if you're the Bills, that the Niners came in with a bigger offer. Any team in the AFC should thank that, the Chiefs didn't land that guy.
The Raiders,
because that's
the Browns,
immediately
the Colts.
They just cut Eric Fisher and they upgraded. Their left tackle for their dynasty, their little mini dynasty. I mean, they got to win probably another Super Bowl to be a dynasty. Dynasty's too strong, excuse me. Their little run they're going on right now. They would have upgraded at, arguably the second most important position on the field. That would have been nuts if you would have gone to the Chiefs.
Especially
I'm telling you, it was
at a major
close.
weakness. It was their this was their weakness was offensive line. Chiefs, right?
Well, and they just literally just cut two guys that are their tackles.
So
they end up with Trent Williams.
They didn't. Alternate universe.